Okay, so I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. Tonight we're having a panel discussion about the Mexican and the Brazilian art markets. And you may ask why we pulled these two countries together. Well, first of all, they share some similarities. They're the two largest economies in Latin America, and with the largest gallery systems and the largest museum infrastructure. So we thought that there would be some parallels and some discussion. Obviously, there's some differences, but I think that it's fruitful discussion. The countries are also home to some of the most important art collectors in the world. And the countries also have some of the largest art fairs in Latin America, with Zona Maco now in Mexico, now in its 10th edition. Art Rio is now going to be in its 3rd edition, and Escalante is in its 12th edition. So there's a long-standing tradition. 9th edition. So there's a long-standing tradition of art fairs, of galleries, of museums. So actually, we have some presentations, and I'd like to introduce our presenters. The first one will be Ana Leticia Fialho. She has a law degree, and I'm going to read this because it's a long list of credentials. A master's degree in management and development of cultural projects from the University of Lyon, and a doctorate in sociology of the arts from the School of Advanced Studies in Social Sciences in Paris. And she's currently a consultant and research coordinator for Abache in Apex, Brazil, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And she's presenting new research that examines the expansion of the Brazilian contemporary art market and specifically looks at how it has become an economic engine in the Brazilian economy. So I pass the microphone to Ana Leticia.
Thank you, Charmaine, for this introduction. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for coming. And thanks also, Mireya and Basel, for inviting us for this panel. One of the reasons I think we are here, and you also, is that Brazil and Mexico are calling attention, and the art production is so live, and the markets is so dynamic. But we talk about it, but we don't know the facts. We don't have the data. And that's what led me to coordinate this survey on the Brazilian contemporary art market, which was an initiative from the Brazilian Contemporary Galleries Association. So this association that started in 2007, also as a sign of the renewal of the market and the professionalization of the market, but we didn't have that much information on how galleries were operating, what were the numbers, what were the facts. And at the time, the president of the association, Alessandra Dall'Oia from Gallery Fortes Vilaço, that's here in the fair, went to talk about the association with the BNDES, which is a National Bank for Development in Brazil, and they asked, well, but what sector is that? What economic sector is that? You don't have any data. So how can we help you to develop or to give you support if you don't know anything about you? So that's one of the reasons that we decided that we really have to look at the market in a very objective way and try to collect, try to understand. And what I'm bringing to you, sharing with you very quickly, it's some highlights of this study that now we're doing annually. I did the first part of it in the end of last year, beginning of this year, but we're going to do it every year. So I updated the study for this presentation because we also have a number of galleries being created in Brazil. So I'm going to share with you some facts, and we can discuss after all. So here's the universe of the study in the 2 phases so far. So we have a total of 45 galleries. It's important to understand that I'm talking only about the primary market, contemporary art market, so not talking about resale, secondary market, modern, anything like that. Here is the galleries that participate in the survey. As you can see, the most important galleries in Brazil are all part of it. All the galleries marked with the pink dot, they are here in the fair. The one that's blue is in the Miami Art Fair. the galleries that are in a grayish tone, not so dark, it's the new galleries that integrate the association this year. So they are integrated in the study. That's the updated data I'm bringing. So here, starting to talk about the profile of the galleries, you can see by the decade they were created. So we have in the 70s 2 galleries that are still operating and active in the market, and we go on, and you can see in the years 2000 there is a, really a growth, and after 2010 we are also observing a growth. So it's incredible the number of new galleries being created in the Brazilian art market lately. So these again are the numbers only for the galleries that belong to the association, but I would say the most active galleries are all in there. So here are other facts about the gallery's profile. For example, the number of fairs they participate per year, we have an average of 3.3. But of course, there are galleries that have more than 10 fairs per year, and other ones that are just starting in the national fairs. Number of employment, I was quite surprised to see also that the galleries employ formally. And we have an average of 6 people, almost 7 people working per gallery, 7 solo shows per year, plus around 3 group shows. That's all average of this pool of galleries. Another interesting data that I thought could interest you is the price range. So we have works starting at $500 in average, and that's really an average, among most of the galleries. Small and big ones, but of course the most expensive works we got an average of $200,000. But of course the big galleries, the more established galleries, work with numbers that much higher than that. Things can go. I mean, the sky is the limit. Well, here's volume of business per gallery. Also, I'm talking about average among this group. So we have like the very small scale galleries that have a budget of under 200,000 per year, and the bigger galleries that have a budget of 5 million and up. On the left, you have the number of galleries in each range. So the biggest group are the galleries that are not beyond $1.5 million per year. Well, but who are what's the content, what's the core of the business of these galleries? So we're talking about a universe of 900 artists in average, 20 artists per gallery, and 80% of this universe are composed by Brazilian artists. Oh, here it's a fact that shows that is related to the moment of the market right now. It's really, we have a renewal. You have newcomers. Because there's these new galleries, you call even baby galleries. So they tend to represent young arts that are coming to the market at the first time as well. So related to the study I did in the end of last year, and now I included these new galleries. So the average of artists entering the market for the first time went up. So we have an average of 22%. Now we have almost 30% of this universe of artists being, entering the market for the first time in this universe. That shows, I think it's an interesting renewal. So volume and dynamics of the sector. So we are used to hear a lot about like the Brazilian art market is growing, is dynamic, everybody wants to know about it. It seems that's doing quite well, but we didn't have really how to measure. We didn't have anything to say that, well, in fact, it is growing or not. So this survey showed that, in fact, in the last 2 years, the market grew a lot. In average, 44%. Of course, with galleries having shown a growth of 10 to 200%. So if you want to compare this number with the global market, the global markets after 2008 is recovering quite well. It's already in pretty good shape, but it's increasing 7% a year. We can compare this also, this 44% with the Brazilian economy that's doing well, but it's growing 4, 5, 6% a year. So the economy, the national economy or the international economy does not explain what's going on in the Brazilian art market per se. But who is behind this growth? No, who is making this market so dynamic? It's the base of the Brazilian art market right now at this moment. It's really the Brazilian private collectors. They are responsible for the biggest part of the business, the volume of the business. This percentage of 70% had grown from the first study I did and now with the new galleries, because the new galleries, their base is really the Brazilian collectors. So it went from 66 to 70%. But the overall pizza, that's not totally exact, because, you know, we don't have 100% of the information, but this is pretty much like private collectors in Brazil are the main buyers, followed by private international collectors, and then we have the Brazilian companies and the Brazilian institutions, followed by international institutions and some other players. Here's another data that shows the interest that Brazil is having internationally, that almost 0.5% of the universe of artists are represented in international collections, private and public collections, right? And they are also represented by other galleries abroad. So we have almost 50% of them represented in international collections, and almost 20% also represented by other galleries around the world. And I'm going to now show you more of this map, this expanding map. Here you can see, I mean, in colors where the Brazilian art production has been had entered institutional collections. And I brought some specific examples to give you. And here, again, this map is not complete. It's just a sort of example of given by the galleries that are here in the fair. So I asked them to tell me where their artists they were bringing to the fair are around the world. And this is connected also to the work that has been done by the galleries, placing this production in international institutional collections. So it's a partial map, it's not complete, but already shows that we're kind of spreading. So here we have the Americas. And here we have New York. Can you guys read well the information? I hope so. It's just here giving you an idea of volume. It's only in New York and many. And again, I'm not listing everything that MoMA collects about Brazilian art. I'm just showing artists that the galleries participating in this fair informed that were sold to these collections. And here we have an example of Tunga at the MoMA. And Tunga is now represented by a very young gallery created in 2010, Mendes Wood, here in the fair, you can visit. And here you have Sifo. I thought of bringing some examples from Miami, with also exquisite selection of Brazilian artists. And here we have Caio Heisenwitz, represented by Luciana Brito here in the fair. And this belongs to the collection, as well as, this place is misplaced, shouldn't be in the white part. So this is Carlos Bunga, and it's represented by a Gentil Carioca. And this belongs to the Sifo collection as well. Here are the things. Miami, here's a group of artists represented by Casa Triângulo. That's in the Mocha, Miami, and this piece will be shown in the anniversary of the museum, coming up soon, I guess. And because we are in a panel, Brazil and Mexico, Brazil is also in important Mexican collections, including the Coppel collection. Here we brought an example of Brígida Baltar. For a reason, the name of the artist is not in the picture, but that's Brígida Baltar. It's a photography and entered the Coppel collection that Mireya is going to tell us more about. Here showing Europe, as you can see, many places in Europe. Tate Modern, that has been a traditional institution collecting Brazilian art. That's Valesca Soares, represented by Fortes Vilaça in the Tate collection. Here we have Germany and Austria. I hope you can read. That's Julia Schenk collection. And in Austria, Leticia Bornemisza. And here we have image Jessica Main is represented by Galeria Leme, which is here in the fair as well. And Paulo Vivacqua, represented by Laura Marciá. That's an installation of this artist is being displayed here in the fair, but this belongs to the TBA 21 collection. I don't know how we are in time.
Let me check.
Just, I can keep going on all these different places just to show you. We have Asia, and we have other places that I could not name, but I think Brazil usually fell in this category, and it was kind of not seen in the international art map. But Brazil now is also represented in regions that usually it was not in our art map. And well, I don't know if you pay attention when I was showing the numbers for international institutions. So here I'm giving just a little example of where the artists are, and the institutions, the international institutions, do not represent a big volume of business for the Brazilian galleries, but still they're important, they give visibility. And here I bring the numbers for the export, so how much of the Brazilian art market business is generated abroad. So the average is 16%, but you have to consider that in this average now we have all these young galleries that didn't participate in international fairs, didn't go into the international market yet. So this average went down. But if you consider more established galleries, for example, the galleries that are here in the fair, the participation of the international sales is more important, it's 26%. And for the international sales, of course, the fairs are a very important platform. 95% of the sales are negotiated during these fairs. And here we have some statistics showing that the export numbers are growing. And again, here I only bring the numbers of the galleries that participate in the survey. Blue is 2011, pink is 2010. So you can see a growth in almost all levels. And in fact, in the number of galleries on the button. So the total amount actually, the export from 2010 to 2011 almost doubled. With a big concentration, of course, for the galleries based in São Paulo, which are traditionally the galleries that are more present in the international market so far. Well, I think I kept on time.
Is that 8 million?
That's in million, yeah, 10 million, 18 million.
Okay.
I think that's very much it. You can talk about in more detail. I hope we're going to have time for a little chat afterwards.
Thank you very much, Ana Leticia. I think that was enlightening. I think that's a study that could be done in many markets, and I think it's a groundbreaking study, and I think that's very enlightening, and especially in light of the fact that oftentimes people don't have the numbers in terms of how the art market really contributes to the economy, and I think it's very important. Our second presentation, we'll take questions afterwards, and we'll talk about both of the presentations, but I think we should get on to Mireya Escalante. She's going to take a different approach. We're going to talk about collectors and the history of collecting in Mexico. She's the director of the Isabel and Agustin Coppel collection. She's worked with them since 1991, and the collection began as a collection of Mexican modern art, and then at some point there was a switch, and they started collecting contemporary international art. And Mireya is very responsible for that shift, and I think that it's something that we need to talk about, because I think that is something that's indicative. I think it's something that happens in a lot of Latin American countries, that there's initially a collecting of national art, and then there's at a certain point, people start collecting international, and I think that this is an example of that. Yes. So Mireya's presentation, again, is looking at the history of collecting and collections in Mexico, and please begin.
Well, thank you very much for all of you to be here in your busy afternoon. Ana Leticia is extremely knowledgeable, and she has a lot of facts. I'm Mexican, so you know, it's different. We don't have facts. We should have them. I think the main reason that they invite me is because I'm old enough to have lived most of the situation. I have been there for so long that I have seen many things. And I'm very proud to be the director of Agustin and Isabel Coppel collection that represents very, very well what happened in Mexico. And that's what I want to tell you about. A little bit of the history of Mexico. And that's why you have an image of Diego and Frida Kahlo. In the 30s, Mexico was international, important cultural situation. They were in the market. We were very important destinations. The collectors, the museums, the curators, everybody went to Mexico to buy. And to buy, to see, to learn, to everything. That was a very active time in Mexico, intellectually, culturally, and economical. That is what you... Frida, Diego were main figures in the art. They were in London, in New York, in Paris. Breton went to Mexico. Everything happened. That piece is very interesting, the Frida Kahlo, woman with parrots. The owner of that piece was an American collector, a very important collector. Well, was because she passed away.